guys, welcome to a new episode of Saw Something Scary. Jeff Wright, Derek Zoo here with you, talking about everyone's favorite middle-aged partygoer. That's right, guys, we're talking about Ma this week. But before we get into Ma, let's do a little house cleaning, a little housekeeping here. We need those 5-star reviews, you guys. Rate, review, subscribe. Give us those coveted 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Farmers Only, Plenty of Fish. I mean, wherever you're swiping right, we want you guys to swipe right with us. And those 5-star reviews help us out, give us those great algorithms that neither Jeff or I really understand, but we just know that we need them. And so we would appreciate that. If you want to be more a part of the conversation, please join our Facebook group at We Saw Something Scary. And of course, if you'd like to really get involved, then we do have a Patreon campaign going on right now at patreon.com/scary podcast. Jeff, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm just living the dream, Derek Zoo. How about you, my friend?
Oh man, I'm up early. I feel great. Yep,
I can hear it in your voice.
I'm glad you could tell that was a lie, but I'm you know what, man, I'm having a good time and interested to talk to you about this movie because I know that you and I had 2 different takes on it. So
yeah, I think the reviews on Ma could maybe slightly charitably be described as a mixed bag. And I think that will be reflected in our podcast.
I agree. So if you guys like the horror uncle, this is a good week for him. But before we get into that, let's get to everyone's favorite part of the show.
Jeff hates trailers.
The triumphant return of everybody's favorite part of the show.
That's right. And Jeff, I've got 2 trailers for you. And then if you want, we can talk about that Scary Stories trailer, which I'm sure that you haven't watched.
This is true, and I'd love to talk about it.
Okay. So let's start off with a movie that's going to be coming out tomorrow on Netflix called I Am Mother. It's a sci-fi thriller. The synopsis on it is this. A teenage girl is raised underground by a kindly robot mother designed to repopulate the earth following the extinction of humankind, but their unique bond is threatened when an inexplicable stranger arrives with alarming news. And Rose Byrne, you know who I'm talking about? She was in Bridesmaids and Insidious. Rose Byrne.
I never know. Throw it in my Google machine here.
Yeah, Byrne.
Oh yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I just never know how to say her last name. Anyway, she and Hilary Swank star.
Hilary Swank.
Yeah, man.
I get her back in my life and Juliette Lewis. What year is it right now?
It's 1993, and White Men Can't Jump just came out a couple years ago. So next week we're going to talk about a movie with Rosie Perez in it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, so I mean, all that sounds interesting enough. It sounds like part Cloverfield, part Umbrella Academy. Mm-hmm. Is there any clarification on exactly how this is going to repopulate the Earth? Like, is this child being raised as a breeder?
Not that I know of.
I mean, there's some ambiguity there that's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like, I'm all about horror that makes me uncomfortable, but probably not that kind of horror making me uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think they're going for anything like that. I think it's just this is the last person on Earth, and she's bonded with this robot who is now taking on her mother role.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong, but
I feel like that meme from Despicable Me where they're like the missing step, or maybe it's South Park, but it's just step 1, build the bunker. Step 2, fill it with a robot and a girl. Step 4 is, or conclusion is, repopulate the Earth. But step 3 is just a bunch of question marks.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm assuming whoever wrote this has a better grip on it than I can get from your secondhand description of the trailer I refuse to watch. So I'm sure the problem's on my end. It just seems odd.
Yeah. Well, and full disclosure, I didn't get to watch the whole trailer. So what I saw of it, though, I was like, oh, dang, this looks interesting. So,
well, we were joking about Hilary Swank. Those 2 actresses, that's probably enough to get me to watch it. And so I'm assuming it'll be worth checking out just based on talent. Not unlike a movie we may be discussing later in this episode.
It's got to be better than that one. All right. So I Am Mother comes out tomorrow on the Flicks. Mm-hmm. Next movie we got coming out is a movie called Crawl. And the synopsis on that is this. A young woman, while attempting to save her father during a Category 5 hurricane, finds herself trapped in a flooding house and must fight for her life against alligators.
Okay, so I saw this one because it was either before Brightburn or Ma or both. I can't remember which.
Okay.
I am here for that movie, dude.
Yeah.
It's like a big budget Sharknado.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like, as a matter of fact, I watched the trailer last night. It popped up on something like my Netflix or not Netflix, maybe Hulu or something. And I just started laughing. And I was like, oh, I want to talk about this on the podcast tomorrow.
Well, I mean, I can't remember. Did you say crocodiles or alligators?
Alligators.
Yeah, I can't tell the difference. I know there is one, but
Racist.
whatever it is, they're terrifying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm here to see someone trapped in a house with a bunch of alligator, crocodile things, whatever. Can I tell you, there's also a nostalgia factor for me on this. Do you remember Lake Placid?
Oh, yeah.
From '99?
Mm-hmm.
I owned that on DVD. I watched that a lot. And I guess I'm just ready for what I'm going to mentally assume is the reboot.
You think this is Betty White's granddaughter coming back for revenge?
Hey, in my mind, yes, absolutely. I've not seen this movie yet, but you just made it 25% better.
You're welcome. Hey, speaking of which, we were talking about rejuvenated actors and people we haven't heard of for a long time. Listen to who's in this movie. Barry Pepper.
Well, I'd like to marvel at that, but I can't even think of who that is. Let's see what the Google machine returns here.
So Barry Pepper was in Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
The Green Mile. I think he played Roger Maris in that 62 movie. He did, 61 movie, excuse me. He was in Battlefield Earth. Like, Barry Pepper had a stretch in the late 90s, early 2000s where he was in every major motion picture.
Yeah, what happened to that guy?
I don't know.
Huh. Looks like the last thing he did of note was The Maze Runner, which, shockingly, I missed.
Yeah. It's a shock for us all.
Well, look at this, man. It's just reclamation movie time here on the Saw Something Scary.
I like it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, sure. Feed him to a crocodile.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. The scene where she...
even though they're alligators.
Yeah, alligators. Whichever. So there's a scene in the trailer, spoiler alert, I guess, where the protagonist is in like an old school shower stall with like the semi-transparent sliding doors, and she's screaming at a crocodile, come on in, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no scenario where I want that to happen. Even if I think I've got resources in that shower stall with me to kill this gator, I'm just going to be cool if he stays outside.
Yeah.
We'll ride it out. But that level of camp and off the wall-ness, I don't know a better word for that.
Yeah.
Sure, man. Sign me up. You'll get my AMC Stubs, free ticket of the day.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that comes out on July the 12th. So.
I mean, my life will basically be on pause until then.
I feel like that every July now, there's some kind of shark or alligator, some kind of movie like that coming out. Last year we had The Meg, and then this year we've got this one. So,
you know who's underrepresented in the scary monster horror movie category? Pygmies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that would be kind of terrifying, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to see something made with Komodo dragons.
Okay.
Those things are aggressive and ill, and I'm not sure why they don't have their own franchise just yet.
Well, I feel like you should probably make that happen.
I think I should. I'll start the GoFundMe for the production budget right now. What's Mike D doing? What are you and Mike D doing the next year?
I'm not doing anything.
Okay. Sorry, Dolly.
Yeah. There's a lot I want to say about that, but I'll just leave it be. So anyway, July 12th, that's when that comes out. And then finally, we'll talk about the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark trailer. Dude, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have much to criticize. Matter of fact, I don't have anything to criticize. And so here's something that either I forgot or didn't know, but Andre Overdahl is directing this.
Yeah.
And that just pumped me up for it even more.
Yeah. I think you've forgotten it because we talked about it, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe even twice. But yeah, I mean, he's the cherry on top, right? Like as soon as they announced that they were working with the source material, I was going to watch that movie.
Right.
And to have him handling it, which by the way, it's good to see some of his in development projects start showing up. It's been a while. But with him handling it, you're just that much more excited for the thing.
Yep.
So anything in particular that you would use as like an appetizer for me? Just give me something. I know I'm asking a lot because I won't watch the trailer, which is the more reasonable thing to do, but tell me something that stood out to you.
Oh, man. everything. Like, I mean, it's just it's insane to me how those, I don't know if this thing is going to be, I mean, I assume that it's going to be great, but, there's always the offbeat chance that it's not going to be. Case in point, the movie that we're talking about today. But if anything, it's just amazing to see these drawings that we have looked at, since childhood come to life. And I'm giddy with anticipation.
Dude, that's great. I did look at some of the promotional stills and whatnot, and it is so faithful to my childhood imagination that I'm chomping at the bit. And friend of the podcast, Jody Webster, other people in the Facebook group have all been kind of geeking out together over that thing. So I guess I'm probably more aware of this, even as a movie that I refuse to watch the trailer for. I'm still kind of more aware of it, the details of it than others. And I mean, I guess I've already said it once. I mean, without hyperbole, what I said about the alligator crocodile movie. Like, I really wish I could use one of those fast forward remotes that God has, and by God I mean Adam Sandler,
right? And
just get there to watch this movie.
Yeah, dude, I'm pumped. But you know what the great part about it is? It's only in 2 months, and so it'll be here tomorrow. Man,
it's already been a pretty good summer for horror, and like the best stuff is still ahead of us. We're looking at the fall for It, and
right.
I mean, I'm not crazy about Child's Play, but I'm holding out hope for Annabelle Comes Home. Crawl's going to be there. I mean, that's just through July, so it's a good time to be a horror fan still.
Yeah, for the most part, it definitely is.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So, and that comes out on August the 9th. So.
Oh, August the 9th. I guess I had a little bit earlier in my head. So, well, good. That gives me something to look forward to, through the end of the summer. Sweet.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so you'll have Crawl to watch in July, and then you'll have this to watch in August, and then you'll have It to watch in September. So, I mean, things are good.
Yeah, that's a pretty good monthly schedule there.
Absolutely. Oh, all right, man. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of
Jeff Hates Trailers.
Well, then that means we should get into
This week's horror.
And Derek, it is, continuing the theme of mixed bag that I mentioned earlier. There's some good and some bad in this week's Horror Reporter.
All right, lay it on me.
Do you remember I posted in our We Saw Something Scary Facebook group a cover for an upcoming DC horror event called Deceased? Mm-hmm. And it was an homage to the It poster with the Joker and Robin, for our listeners who may not have seen it, Joker being Pennywise and Robin being Georgie. So that thing has been out for a month now. Issue 1 came out last month. The second one just hit comic book stores around the time we're recording here. And I wanted to direct our comic book fan listeners' attention to it if they're not already watching it, because issue number 2 is an homage to the Nightmare on Elm Street poster where Nancy's laying in the bed and Freddy's looming over her.
Okay.
Only in this one, it looks super cool. I'd almost like to have a set of posters of these covers. It's Batman looming over Poison Ivy. And at the bottom, the credits for the comic are arranged like a movie picture credit.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
It's super cool, man. I don't know if the story's any good at all. I'm kind of waiting for these to accumulate and I want to binge read them.
Yeah.
But man, the artwork has been incredible so far if you're a horror fan.
Yeah, man. These look great.
Whenever we build the Saw Something Scary studio, I think those need to be one wall of decorations.
Yeah, 100%.
So for our listeners who may be interested, but they're not aware, this is a 6-issue series that focuses on a global pandemic in the DC universe, released by Darkseid. It spreads to millions of people through anything with a screen, and those affected by the virus try to remove the virus from their minds by scratching and ripping at their own flesh. So yeah, right up that old horror movie comic book fan alley.
Yep.
It's like the convergence we've all been hoping for between DC and EC comics. For those of you who are old school EC comic horror fans. Anyway, I'm excited. I'd like to have the art.
Yeah, me too, man. These look really good.
It's fun to see horror go more mainstream, continuing again, another theme of it's good to be a horror fan right now. It's fun to see this stuff more validated. Yeah,
it is. And, again, I mean, I don't mean to be braggy, but none of this would have happened without us. So
that's certainly true. I mean, it's not bragging when it's the obvious truth, right?
When it's just factual, that's true.
Well, that's, good news. Here's a bit of a downer for our next item. We got news that the Are You Afraid of the Dark movie, which I know is near and dear to your heart, it not only got pulled from its October 4th release date, but Gary Dauberman, who was the screenwriter, has left the project entirely.
Oh, man.
So I came across this on the Horror News Network. A guy named Mark McCurley wrote this up. He said that the movie hasn't shot yet, and then he drops the bombshell. That's one of those things I'm no longer a part of. I just had a different vision to make it and thought it's best to part ways. It's unfortunate, but sometimes that's how it goes. And the last we heard about anybody directing it was in 2018 when DJ Caruso was supposed to, take it on. But we've not heard anything from him or about any director so far. Like there's some, I started digging into this, and a lot of people think this indicates this may not happen.
Well, poop.
I know. I mean, the Midnight Society needs to live again.
Amen.
And it may be up to you and I to make that happen. I'm not sure how, but Sonny Handycam could be involved.
I'm all for it.
Get on this, man. I don't even know who has the rights. In my mind, it has the film is held by Paramount, but that could be completely wrong. And all the Paramount execs listening, we're disappointed in you, and we need you to do better.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that kind of ruins my day, Jeff.
Well, and it's weird how this stuff, like, just all of a sudden you hear about it. You know what I mean? Like, we got little trickling bits of information, updates, making it seem like it's happening. Everybody goes radio silent. And then the next thing you hear isn't like Dauberman is frustrated with the studio or there's trouble. It's just he's gone. There's no director. They're not going to release it when they said they would. You know what I mean? It just seems like a catastrophic revelation.
Yeah.
Frustration.
It is frustrating, and you something like that hits the nostalgia feel spot that I think would have, if done right, would have made a lot of money and even been eligible to do like a franchise with, and now you're just putting it on the back burner. But sometimes it happens. And it seems like this thing's been in purgatory for like the last 20 years. So,
Well, I've never made a movie. I know you have. Some of our listeners are involved in the industry. This one doesn't seem like the bar should have to be too high to get it made.
Yeah.
It's not like, for instance, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, where anybody who takes that on knows we've got a very specific set of visuals that we need to, if not replicate, at least pay our respects to, or the built-in audience for this is gonna be opposed to the movie.
Right.
So you got to find the right visual effects and the right artists and whatnot. Are You Afraid of the Dark is just kids gathering in the woods to tell scary stories. I mean, you need some competent kid actors, a campfire in the woods, and then pick whatever scary story you think is legitimate enough to bring to the screen. That just sounds like something that, now again, people who make movies, feel free to call me up and be like, you are so naive. I get that. But it just seems like there's not a lot of challenges. It seems like a simple formula. And I just don't know why. I don't know why it would run up against these kind of problems.
Yeah, man. I mean, you hit it. But sometimes even the most simple or the simplest of concepts can be turned into something that's complicated and frustrating. And so who knows? Who knows what's going on? But I'd like for this thing to get made, but it just sounds like it's not going to happen. I mean, definitely not going to happen anytime soon. So,
yeah. Well, continuing the frustrating and adding the element of odd choices that we've been talking about, let me tell you about these two projects I found out about this week. One of those courtesy of the aforementioned friend of the podcast, Jody Webster. Here is a combination I never thought I would read in a headline about a horror movie. Mattel Films and Blumhouse team for Magic 8 Ball. And in what looks to me like a decision to doom the project, they reached out to Truth or Dare's Jeff Wadlow to direct the thing. So it appears we're going to get a quote-unquote scary movie built on the Magic 8 Ball. And Blumhouse is involved with a toy company.
Yeah. Shut up and take all my money.
What in the world? Hey, let me tell you what I would rather see from Mattel. Do you remember these toys back in the day called Mask? And they would be like a car that turns into a plane and shot bombs out, or it'd be a truck that turns into a warship. You remember any of that?
I don't, but those sound awesome.
They were incredible, and there was a cartoon attached to them. I would rather Mattel and Blumhouse make a Mask series. It seems like there's more meat on that bone than the freaking Magic 8-Ball.
Sure.
I get the Ouija movies because Ouija, you know, that's associated with like scary, spooky, supernatural stuff.
Right.
I don't get Magic 8-Ball.
You know, I think it could work.
Oh, wow. That's the hottest of takes. But you know what? I love and respect you, so you tell me how it could work. I believe you could give me a vision.
Well, I mean, I think if you ask the 8-Ball the right kind of questions, it's kind of like that monkey's paw, right? Like the monkey's paw grants you wishes, but it doesn't grant you wishes the way you want it to.
Yeah.
So you could ask the 8-Ball something, and it could tell you something, and then it could happen, but not in a way that you want it to happen.
So if we maybe shook up the 8-Ball and said, Magic 8-Ball, give us a premise for a horror movie that will get made but should not.
Exactly.
And it spit out Magic 8-Ball?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. It sounds depressingly real life accurate.
Magic 8-Ball, should this movie be made? All signs point to yes.
My sources say otherwise, Magic 8-Ball. But in the same, like, incongruous vein, what do you think the Russo brothers are doing right now besides cashing checks and counting their money?
I just figured they're swimming in a vault full of coins like Scrooge McDuck.
Sure, that's what they should be doing. But nobody told them that's what they should be doing because they are developing an animated Magic the Gathering series for Netflix.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Did you play Magic the Gathering?
No, I didn't.
That was never my jam. My brother-in-law is way into it and like goes to conventions and he makes money at it. I mean, I get it. Like, I know it's a whole thing. I was collecting basketball cards. A lot of people were collecting Magic the Gathering. I don't think one's better than the other, but the friggin' Russo brothers are making a film adaptation of that for Netflix. Like you said, wait, what?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all.
The production company, I guess they're working with, released a statement. And in the statement, they said, this series will cross...
We don't get it either.
For real. It was the Russo brothers, so we said yes, with like a shrug emoji. They said this series will cross the genres of suspenseful thriller, which I just want to call bull on right now. Yeah. Suspenseful thriller, horror, and drama, with deeply developed characters the likes of which are not often seen in animation. Yeah, wait what seems to be the best tagline to put on that whole entire thing.
None of that sounds good.
No, it does not. And I'm not sure exactly what makes people give their time. I mean, maybe the Russo brothers at this point have just whatever the cinematic or creative equivalent of go away money is. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what do you want to do now? Well, how about we throw a dart at a board filled with 90s pop culture stuff and we'll just do whatever we land on. And they hit Magic the Gathering just as a heat check to see if they could pull it off. Yeah.
Well, or maybe they were big Magic the Gathering fans, and this is kind of a passion project for them.
I hope that's the case, because that's kind of the recipe for the best possible version of this, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're a little bit older than us. The Russos, or at least Joe Russo was born in 71. Anthony Russo was born in 70. So, they're in their, late 40s, I guess, or mid 40s. Yeah. I mean, the timetable doesn't seem exactly accurate for that to be the case, but maybe it is. Maybe they got into it.
Sure. I'll also say I have a little bit of trepidation just from the claim of deeply developed characters not often seen in animation. I don't know if you ever watched any of the Miyazaki animated. I say anime, that's what I call it. I'm not sure that anime fans would technically identify his films in that genre, but it's stuff like Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke. Do you watch any of those?
No, sir.
Well, I have kids, and a friend of mine turned me on to these. They're incredible. They're beautiful. The characters are great. I mean, they're just cinematic perfection, really. And that's what I think of when I read somebody talk about deeply developed characters in animation. And I mean, other people may not, but that's kind of the gold standard for me, even above something like Toy Story. And,
wow.
I mean, if you're taking Magic the Gathering and shooting that high, you really better bring your A game. Now, the Russo brothers, they have all the credibility in the world. They might be able to pull it off, but I don't know, man. It's a weird premise and a high bar. It doesn't seem like a good combination to me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't have a dog in the hunt. Like, I'm not going to watch it, so I don't care.
Yeah. Just feel like we could put the Russo's talents to better uses.
I agree. I apologize. I don't mean to be that flippant, like, oh, I don't care.
No, I get it.
But it's just, it won't be on my radar. So, I hope that for people that like that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing that people like. And,
Sure.
But they're also doing that Bridge 21 movie that I've seen a trailer for every time I went to Endgame.
Yes, with Chadwick Boseman, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're not directing it, but they're producers on the movie, and it looks really good.
Okay, well, it's funny you mention that because that thing to me looked like generic action movie. I'm not even sure I'm going to go watch it. Well, but I'd love to be talked into it. What do you find compelling about it beyond the Russos and Chadwick?
Well, I mean, that's about it. But I just think that it's going to be. I just think it's going to be a really well acted movie. It's probably like white bread premise and plot, but. The trailer hooked me.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I was like, okay, here we go. And, and maybe it's the old, like, the song that they put in that sounds like something from the old Blade soundtrack.
Yeah.
And so maybe my nostalgia for Blade is playing a factor in this. I don't know, but
Sure.
I'll check it out. I may not go watch it in theaters. I don't think it's a theater movie, but I'll eventually rent it or 21 Bridges. I think I said Bridge 21 Bridges.
Yeah, I knew what you're talking about. I'm sure our listeners did too.
Yeah.
Well,
if you've seen Endgame more than once, chances are you've seen that trailer more than once.
For sure. And they want to emphasize their connection to Marvel art.
Yeah. This is Black Panther playing a New York cop, and we produced this movie. You should go see it.
Well, I mean, more power to them. I don't know. Maybe your excitement will be enough to get me in there. I just, it felt a little nondescript. Coming full circle on this thing, I just want to say a word to those who are looking for horror movie franchises to adapt. Just give us a call. We don't need to see Yu-Gi-Oh! As a horror movie. Give us a call and we'll give you some ideas.
On the other hand, I would love to see Yu-Gi-Oh! As a horror movie.
That's the idea we'll give you. It was, what's it called? Reverse psychology. Yeah, we just reverse psychology to Hollywood.
Yeah. So make that so we'll have something really bad to bag on one of these episodes.
Yu-Gi-Oh! The Nightmare and Jack in the Box The Revenge. Those are, the next two great toy and card game horror movie franchises coming out in 2020.
Yes, I love it.
Speaking of loving it, let's get into this movie we're going to talk about. We'll put an end to
This week's Horror Report.
All right, man, you ready to pull the curtain on Maw?
Yeah.
So, Derek, you had the choice of watching in your scant free time this week, Godzilla or Maw.
And I made the wrong choice.
How'd you make the decision, my friend? How'd you weigh that out?
Well, I have been on the Mob bandwagon ever since we started seeing trailers for it. It literally feels like 17 years ago. And so this has been the movie for me. This has been one of my more anticipated movies of the year. And I don't think about it. I'm not as big on Godzilla as you are. And so for me, when making the decision, it was, I'm really looking forward to Ma, and I'm marginally looking forward to Godzilla. So I made the wrong decision.
Well, I'm sorry, sir.
That's
Now, I liked, all cards on the table. I liked Mom more than you did. But I really did like Godzilla a lot. I've watched it twice so far, and I'll probably watch it again.
Yeah, I'm looking for time to go watch it because I've heard nothing but good things about it. The press tore it apart. But all my friends that have went and seen it have been like, dude, you gotta go see this movie. It's really good. So I'm going to take the advice of my friends over the advice of reporters, reviewers, and whatnot.
Look, I don't know what people thought they were going to get from a movie called Godzilla King of the Monsters that left them disappointed. Godzilla King of the Monsters is exactly what I thought it would be, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
I know we're supposed to be talking about Ma. It has frustrated me reading these professional reviewers bag on the movie, and I'm like, man, if you didn't want to see giant monsters tearing up cities while stuff blows up, why did you even choose to review the movie?
Right.
I don't go to watch Ma thinking I'm going to get sophisticated period drama about, Victorian England.
Oh, well, you definitely didn't get that.
So maybe we just calibrate our expectations. Anyway, speaking of calibrating our expectations, I tell you what, can we do it this way? Can you just tell us everything that's wrong with this movie, and then I will throw a few things at you to try to rebuild your opinion of it?
Sure. Before we do that, Wahlberg.
What? No. Spoiler alert.
Alright, we're in Wahlberg territory. I'm going to come off right off the bat with the hottest take in the world. And Jeff, you may have to bleep me, and I understand if you do. This movie should have been called Ma. It should have been called Revenge of the Blowjob. This movie is at best, a CW teenage drama, teenage soap opera amalgamation with horror. The only saving grace in this movie is Octavia Spencer. Everything else, it's her world, and everything is revolving around it. And so for that, it's good. But when she's not on the screen, even sometimes when she is on the screen, there's too much teenage drama BS for this 30-year-old man to be involved in. I don't feel like that any of these actors were worth a crap besides Octavia Spencer, Juliette Lewis, Luke Evans included, and the chick that plays Mercedes. I forget her name. She was in Willy Wonka. That's the only thing I remember her from.
Diana Silvers, right?
I believe that's right.
Okay.
I feel like that they're all wasted. I feel like that all these actors are one-dimensional. I've seen better acting on episodes of The Real World on MTV than what I saw in this movie. This movie makes no sense. There's no... Yeah, I was so disappointed with this movie because the trailer looked amazing. And again, I mean, Octavia Spencer is the saving grace on this movie, but you can only polish a turd so much before you get it all over you.
That's an apt metaphor. I may not, I wouldn't maybe as strictly apply it to Ma as you did, but that's well done.
Thank you.
So you said this movie doesn't make sense. Particular plot holes or contradictions that come to mind off the, immediately?
Well, I mean, she just runs Mercedes over in the middle of the road and then nothing, there's no follow-up on that. She keeps having these kids over, and no one's gonna call her out on it until an hour and 10 minutes into the movie.
That's a good point. I mean, there was a particular place in my high school. It was at a particular girl's house. Her parents they were like, we'd rather it happen under our roof than somewhere we don't know about. And so, if you wanted to go get crazy, there was this particular place to go to. But it was like an open secret, right? The parents knew about it. And yeah. I guess that is a pretty big plot hole because you can't keep anything secret for more than 10 minutes if, more than 2 people are involved. Mm-hmm. And you're right, a bunch of high school kids, eventually some mom or some dad or some law enforcement officer is going to find out about this and come put a stop to it.
Yeah, and here's the thing: this movie isn't scary. Sorry to spoil that at the end of the podcast, but you don't even get any kind of horror content until about 20 minutes left in the movie, and then it's not even that good of horror content.
Yeah.
And here's one of your big things on never watching trailers. All the good stuff is in the trailer. Every good part of this movie is in the trailer. Yeah. There's nothing in this movie that's good that you don't see in that 2.5 minutes in the trailer. And that's right. In a 99-minute movie, there's only 2.5 minutes worth of crap.
Well, can I ask you this? Do you think you would feel differently about this movie if you hadn't seen all of it in the trailer?
Probably.
Yeah, I think that is definitely part of what's going on with Ma. I had the exact same disappointment. So I'm going to try to play the positive role in this mixed bag review. But yet again, this is one of those times where, like, I mean, I get it. In some ways, the trailer worked in that I hadn't heard of the movie. It hooked my attention, and I watched the movie because the trailer did what they wanted it to. But you could take so much out of that trailer and save it for the movie, and I think more people are going to have a different reaction to this film if we don't have the scene of the truck running down the woman in the road in the trailer, if we don't have the scene of the like African tribal mask jump scare, if we just had Ma buying beer, kids partying at her house, her sending them a creepy text message, and the girls being told not to go upstairs, I'm still going to watch that movie.
Yeah.
But it saved enough for the movie to still feel fresh. But the freaking trailer gave away the entire store.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to take your theme and run with it, but that's exactly the case. Like, frig, man, quit ruining movies with these overdeveloped trailers.
Yeah. Well, it's just frustrating, man, because you see it and hey, man, good for them. They got me, right? I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. When you have someone like Octavia Spencer, who is, considered to be one of the best, one of the better actresses on the planet right now, and she, I mean, I even hate saying this, but she sinks down to the horror level, right? Like, I mean, that's what most people are going to think anyway.
Sure.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but when you see someone who like Octavia who wants to do horror, maybe that's a better way of putting it. You automatically get excited because you're like, hey, this should be a good movie. And this was directed by the dude who did The Help.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants Ma to be the continuation of Octavia's character from The Help. That the timing doesn't work, but
and feed him a poop sandwich.
Yeah, it just like that was the
they fed us a poop sandwich. So
see, I think the poop pie was the first crack in Ma's mental stability. Now, again, I know we're talking about the 50s to today, so it doesn't work. But just go with me in my headcanon here for a second. That was the first crack in her stable facade, and it just spiraled from there. No, nothing.
No, I'm there. I'm sorry, I was yawning.
I'm glad it was so compelling that it almost puts you to sleep.
No, it's not that. It's the fact that we're recording at the butt crack of dawn. Yeah, man. I'm very disappointed with this one. And had we been able to see more of Ma's descent into madness, or had she terrorized more people? I mean, dude, she kills one person, well, two people. She kills two people.
It's true.
Like, kill one of the kids.
Yeah.
Like, make this worth it. So she has a tremendous. And look, here's the thing. I know that I said the thing about the revenge, and I solely stand by it. But I know that like sexual trauma is terrible, sure. and what that character had to go through is a horrible experience, and not something that I'm trying to make light of. But my goodness, man. You telling me she just sat on this for 20 years, and all of a sudden sees these kids and realizes who their parents are, and she goes, "Oh well, here we go.
Here's my chance.
I'm gonna get back at them."
I do think that's what we're supposed to conclude here, and that's a bit of a stretch. A lot of this is supposed to be quote unquote realistic horror, right? I mean, there's no demons involved, there's no ghost clowns. It's just a woman doing bad things. The idea that she was just sitting around in her hometown for a couple decades, and it takes one encounter with some kids in a crappy van to set her off. I don't know, is a little bit of a stretch. Stable, active, productive member of society, full-blown sociopath who's executing a complex revenge scheme. Yeah. And the other thing that may favor your view of this movie, I read it as more, this is a complex character. I've seen some people say the movie's mixed up on this. Is she relating to these kids as objects of revenge, or, gateways to revenge? Or does she legitimately value their company, want to be in their peer group, and associate herself with them? Or is it both, going back and forth?
I mean, I guess both, if I'm thinking about it. Because she does do the thing with the yearbook. Yeah. Where she's almost trying to rewrite history. But I don't know, man. It was such a convoluted mess, which is weird because it's just a dumb movie. It's just a dumb, and And
I hear you.
I could have done better with this movie had it not been Riverdale for the first hour. And no offense to the good folks at Riverdale or any of you who might watch Riverdale. I've never seen an episode of it, but it's the only thing that I can base, the only comparison I have right now. But that's what it was. And I don't think anybody went into this movie to watch a bunch of teenagers be teenagers.
Sure, like they needed to be less involved, right? Like we needed to know there's this group of friends who get together and drink, but we need less time with them.
Yeah, set the premise, establish your characters, and then let Ma go on a freaking terror spree. That's all we wanted. Or that's all I wanted, at least. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, and she could have done some, like, I guess it would maybe make it a more, I don't know if I want to say tired, but like the more traditional route would be for her to start quietly picking off members of the group of people who abused her, who were like on the periphery, working her way into the central tormentor.
Sure.
But it would have given you more time with Octavia and less with the kids show. I can see that.
Yeah. Oh my God, she stole my jewelry. Well, then go to the cops about it, you freaking morons.
Yeah, or just, call her up and be like, obviously they're willing to humiliate her, right? By like the blonde chick being like, nobody hang out with Ma, block her.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do that, then call her and be like, hey, I need my earrings back.
Yeah.
There's also there's an unexplored element where the Maggie, the main young lady, when she wakes up and realizes the earrings are gone, she's also got scuffed up knees.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened last night? And that's never paid off or referenced again.
Yep.
Am I missing something there?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. They just show 2 scars on her knees and then it's never talked about again. Ever again. And at first I thought like, oh, maybe Mom made her do something.
Sure.
Or, because obviously oral sex played more of a part in this movie than I ever expected it to.
100%. And I don't need to see Maggie subjected to that stuff.
Right.
But they need to pay it off somehow. You could make a haunting allusion to it.
Yeah.
And just something to account for it, because the girl was injured. Maybe not catastrophically, but enough for them to zoom in on her knees through the mirror and be like, hey, notice this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, hey, this is something that you probably should pay attention to. Don't worry, we're never going to pay it off, though.
Never mention it again.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go for the more charitable read, unless there's anything else you want to take down a peg or two.
I know this movie was just a waste of time. I'm glad that I was able to watch it by myself, because I was able to just yell at the screen every time I got mad, which was often.
Fair enough.
And I don't even feel like that the payoff was that good.
Yeah.
And honest to God, like, wouldn't you rather see her go to jail or something instead of dying next to the man that she loves
/ hates?
Yeah, like, man, yeah, just everything about this movie. I'm so mad about it.
Well, I'm gonna give you 3 points, and one of them may make you want to fight me.
Okay.
But here's my 3-point argument that Ma is better than your initial encounter left you thinking. Okay.
Okay.
Number 1, I am going to forever think of Ma as evil walking tall. And I don't mean the immortal classic about Buford Pusser starring Joe Don Baker. I mean the vehicle that helped launch a young, struggling, up-and-coming actor named Dewey Johnson into megastardom. You know what I'm talking about, right? The one with the guy, he goes back to clean up the casino town.
Sorry, I had an aneurysm after you compared this to Walking Tall.
This is evil walking tall. But what's the bad guy's name? He's really good. He was in Justified. He plays a bad guy in lots of different movies. I can't remember his name though.
Like Neil McDonough or something like that.
Something like that. He was great. I mean, I know I'm struggling to remember his name, but he was excellent, and he always is when he plays an arrogant, d-bag basically who's manipulating people.
Yeah, Neil McDonough is his name.
And this movie really needed a Neil McDonough, the guy who played Ma's abuser. He just wasn't. He wasn't up to. He couldn't look Octavia Spencer in the eye as an actor. You know what I mean? And I feel like Neil McDonough. He could have, basically.
No one's a jerk like Gaston. What are you talking about?
So, the other thing that this movie is missing compared to Walking Tall is Johnny Knoxville. I think we're all agreed about that. Are you ready to fight yet?
I thought that was the thing we were going to fight about.
That is. I figured it would antagonize you, but I really see these as like companion piece movies.
Dear God.
I think if we ever host a movie festival, we should show Walking Tall first and then Ma, and assume they're set in the same universe.
Did you ever see that episode of Raw where the Big Show pulls the Titantron down and Steve Austin just rips it apart with like a huge knife? You ever see that?
No, I don't think I caught that one.
That's what would happen if we ever did something like that.
Yeah.
Like take me to jail, but I'm not going to subject people to watch Ma after watching Walking Tall.
Yeah. I figured that would not be a comparison you were on board with.
Yeah, I'm going to have to strongly disagree.
Point number 2, I think you're underselling the performance by the girl who played Maggie. Octavia Spencer is by far the best thing in this movie, but I thought that young lady, I thought she held her own in a way that I did not expect her to be able to. Diana Silvers, I thought Maggie was a more rounded character than I think you're giving her credit for.
I disagree strongly. I thought she was one of the worst parts of the entire movie.
Well, can we agree she's better than Juliette Lewis?
Yeah, but I mean, I think the dogs in this movie were better than Juliette Lewis.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man, because I know Juliette Lewis can act, but she is so one-dimensional. Now, I get one-dimensional for all the teenagers, but it's just weird that they would cast Juliette Lewis in this and not give her more to do. But I'm talking positively about Diana Silvers. I think she did a really good job of communicating. The new girl moves to town, not sure if she wants to hang out with these people, falls in love with not falls in love, but, gets attracted to this cute guy, starts to see some danger signs in what her group is doing, and eventually, has to play the heroine. I guess I should say that boiled down to this. I thought she was a pretty good final girl.
Okay, but here's the thing, dude. She's not the final girl. I mean, if you're going to go with a broad sense of that word, that's fine. But no one dies in this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
People get their lips sewn up. One dude gets whitewashed, which is ridiculous. And that's the thing. Ma never does anything to these kids. She causes them a little pain and discomfort. Well, I mean, she does stab that one dude.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I get what you're saying, though. This doesn't rise to a particular level of sadism towards the kids anyway.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that last part. So you think Homegirl's good when she stabs Ma and she's like, I'm not like my mother.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the material is particularly great, but I thought her delivery of the material was about as good as you could hope for.
Okay.
Where it's weak, I think it's weak in the writing, not the performance.
Okay.
I'm 0 for 2 right now. The third, and this is the one that I think you're going to actually agree with, Octavia Spencer is really, really, really good as a leading lady.
Yeah, 100%.
And I've mentioned him a couple times already, but Jody sent me a message and said, should I go watch Ma? And I told him that this movie, for me, landed slightly above perfectly acceptable horror, based entirely on Octavia Spencer, basically. If I can take away some of the plot incongruities, I thought she did a really good job of portraying a woman who is in deep conflict within her own psychosis, right? So the stuff we talked about. Do I want to be these kids' friends? Do I want to use them for revenge? Do I want the affections of the guy who abused me in high school, Ben? Or do I want to take my revenge on him? And I thought she did a pretty good job of slowly eroding into the most unstable version of that character. And it's enough for me. It was a compelling enough performance for me to not regret seeing this movie in the theater.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Deadpan delivery right there. I really think that... Let me say it this way. I think Spencer is incredible in this. And whether or not she ever does horror again, I hope this opens the door for her to be a leading lady who opens movies. I definitely think she could do a better job of what Melissa McCartney has been doing for the last couple years.
Okay.
And I think Ma is proof of concept with that. The material's not great, but Octavia Spencer really is. Still crickets, huh?
Well, I don't disagree with that, but the material was terrible.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard for me to say anything positive about this movie other than Octavia Spencer was great. And had it been a lesser actress, this movie would have been even worse than what it was.
Yeah, this is a B movie at its very best, right?
I mean, I guess. At its very best. I wouldn't even go that far, but
well, if you sub in even a competent actor, so again, actress, so Melissa McCartney, or like the people we've talked about, Hilary Swank, Juliette Lewis, like people who can act. Mm-hmm. I think this movie is D to an F. I think this becomes like one of the worst movies ever made if it's not.
Yeah,
it's not led by Octavia Spencer.
I'm still there.
Really, worst ever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I told you this yesterday. I thought it was non-level quality.
Yeah, that's true. You did. You also immediately texted me that you knew Ma's daughter when she first showed up on screen.
They had the same haircut.
That's a good call, man. Good call.
They had the same haircut, and I was like, oh, okay, so this random African-American girl in this lily white high school is going to come in and not be Ma's daughter? Okay, that makes sense.
One other slight commendation for this movie. I'm really glad that they didn't pay off the daughter as Ben's unknown love child, or I shouldn't say love, hate child. Like, I kept waiting for that to happen, and I thought, no, just don't do that. This is going to be, it's just going to be a torpedo.
That's exactly what I kept waiting on. This is your daddy. As he's tied up nude to bed.
Bleeding out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they managed to avoid a huge pothole with that one. Well, all right, man. We need to wrap this up. If I can just go straight to scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this a 5.5.
Okay.
If it is not Octavia Spencer, this is a 1.5 or a 2.
Yeah, I'm going to give this movie a 1.5 based just on Octavia Spencer.
All right. So our mixed bag is trending towards decidedly negative.
Yeah. I'm just going to say this. Blumhouse, get your crap together. Like, you guys were on a pretty good roll there for a while, but here lately I feel like all you're doing is putting out drivel into the world, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So get your crap together. Go back to making good horror. This was not good horror. This was garbage. And thank goodness that you had a great actress to carry the movie. Otherwise, it would have been worse. But, I'm legitimately mad that I went to see this movie and didn't go see Godzilla. So here's something for you guys. Here's the best advice I can give you from old Uncle Zoo. If you're trying to figure out between this movie or Godzilla, just go see Godzilla. I haven't even seen Godzilla yet, but I guarantee you it's better than this movie. I could crap in a bag and light it on fire and film it for 30 minutes, and it's going to be better than this movie.
Yeah, you're right. Godzilla is much better. I'm not going to go with the crap in the bag thing, but, probably the after credits scenes in Godzilla are better than Ma, except for Octavia Spencer, which I just can't help but pay homage to. So we got our scale down. I feel foolish even asking, did we see something scary?
Yeah, definitely did. It was incredibly scary that movies like this get made. It's incredibly scary that I sat through the whole thing because I almost got it and walked out. And it's incredibly scary how these cardboard cutout, good-looking 20-year-olds can play these teenagers.
I really am going to blame this movie on the writer. His name is Scotty Landis, and I think if you get on IMDb, I'm not going to spoil this for our listeners, but get on IMDb and read his bio, and it's going to tell you everything you need to know about this guy. I'm sure he's a fine dude with a lot of talent and whatnot, but you said, you told Blumhouse to get their crap together.
Yeah.
This was a good premise with a good actress. They should have given it to a better writer.
Yeah. Yeah, but, man... You can't just blame the writer. I mean, there's a lot of stuff involved in this movie. For instance, Tate Taylor should have been a better director. He should have gotten better performances out of his actors. Your casting director should have picked better people. There's a lot that goes into stuff like that. I see what you're saying, and I get it, but you can turn a bad script into a good script. But these people it's just a crappy project all the way around, through and through. It feels like everyone here's the most profound thing that I think I can say about this movie, Jeff, and it hit home. Everyone in this movie feels like they're just going through the motions except for Octavia Spencer. Octavia Spencer looks like she's having fun, seems like she's having fun. Everyone else is just there for a paycheck.
I'm with you, except for Dinah Silvers or whatever. I'm just going to hold out on her behalf. I know you're not going to agree, but otherwise, yeah, you're exactly right.
You're right. Dinah Silvers wasn't just going for a paycheck. She's just freaking terrible.
I can't meet you there. A lot of your criticisms, I think, are right on. And Octavia, in my mind anyway, as the horror uncle, kind of buoyed the film above those weaknesses. I just think Diana Silvers did a pretty decent job. That's all.
Well, hey, if you want more Diana Silvers, Into the Dark, the Hulu series that
Yikes.
that Jeff and I, the one episode that we reviewed, she is in the Thanksgiving episode called Flesh and Blood. So looks like Diana has mostly just done horror. If you look at it, she was in Ma, she was in Glass, she was in Into the Dark. She was also in the movie Booksmart that has been heralded as some really great independent movie.
Yeah, that's the opposite of Godzilla for me. Like I saw the trailer for that Booksmart movie and knew I never wanted to see anything associated with it. Critics are falling all over themselves for it, and
yeah,
I'm sitting over here looking at Godzilla like, hey, this is a really good movie. Why don't y'all watch this?
Yeah, they're not going to do that. They're going to watch this movie. I don't even know what it's. I haven't even seen anything about it.
It's kind of a raunch comedy featuring teenage girls.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, the trailer looked catastrophically bad.
Yeah, and she's in a movie now called Eve with Jessica Chastain, Colin Farrell, John Malkovich, Gina Davis. There's a name. Common. And that's another thriller mystery movie that is in post-production right now. So, you know what, man? Maybe she'll turn into a great little actress. I just thought she was terrible in this movie.
Sure. Well, buddy, I've emptied my bag. I don't think I've persuaded you, but I don't know that I'll watch Ma again. I also I don't regret watching Ma.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad because okay, so I'll say it this way. I feel like I'm stumbling and bumbling over myself, but maybe this is the final definitive thing that I'm going to say on it. I have not regretted a decision of mine this badly in a long time. Not only do I have minimal free time this week, which I know you understand that as well, but I made the wrong choice in movie. And if I would have went back, if I could have gone back to yesterday, I would have watched Godzilla and honestly almost did go watch Godzilla. I was almost like I should just watch Godzilla, but I stuck with it and I regret it. And I'm a worse person with Godzilla.
Well, I'm sorry, sir. We can't always hit home runs, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. There's always going to be stuff like that. But hey, so anyway, did you see something scary, Jeff? You never really answered that question.
No, I didn't see anything particularly scary.
Okay, so Jeff says 5.5. I say 1.5. We did not see anything scary. Let's flip the script. If you've seen Ma, let us know what you thought about the movie. You can find us again at We Saw Something Scary on Facebook, or you can get us at Twitter, Scary Podcast, or we've got a subreddit that you could go to /r/saw something scary. So there's plenty of different ways to let us know what you thought about the movie. Did you enjoy the movie? Are you in the same category that I'm in? Do you feel more like you're in the horror uncle category like Jeff? Regardless, I just want to have some conversation with people and see what they have to say about it. So let us know. I will tell you this, man, based on, and this is something I didn't think I'd ever say, but based on our Facebook group, I can't wait to go see Rocket Man.
Yeah, I have not seen it yet, just because I'm trying to coordinate with my wife. But I'm super pumped here too, and it's a movie that I've heard nothing but good reviews about. So
yeah, so I'm pumped about that. Yeah, it'll be great. So anyway, man, what are we doing next week?
That's a good question. I don't see anything on the radar that immediately presents itself to my mind.
Yeah.
If you see Godzilla, let's at least talk about it at some point in the podcast.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe this Netflix thing, I Am Mother. I don't know. Okay. Any of that sound good?
Yeah. I tell you what, man. Why don't we just do a Godzilla next week?
Okay. We've talked about a couple like movies we can keep in the hopper. If you watch it and it's not enough to fill an episode with, we'll go find one of the ones we've talked about doing this summer.
Sure. Hey, also, by the way, have you seen Swamp Thing yet?
I have not. Okay. I started watching Chernobyl.
Oh, how's that?
By the way, is incredible.
Okay, I need to start that then.
I think I've mentioned it. Chernobyl is just a private interest of mine. It's one of those like compelling catastrophes that I've just read a ton of stuff on. Mm-hmm. And I'm only 2 episodes in, but everything so far is accurate to a degree that I'm kind of surprised by.
Oh, okay. Well, cool, man. Well, hey, I'll tell you something that I've started that you'll be happy to hear. I just started Supernatural.
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, those early, I mean, I like the whole series, but those early episodes are my favorite at all. When they're just two dudes riding around killing local supernatural critters, it doesn't get much better for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only been able to see like the first maybe 3 episodes, but I'm pretty excited about it. So
yeah, well, good for you, man. I wish I could go back and catch that stuff fresh again. Those are my favorite memories from that series.
Yeah, it's been good so far, but I'll definitely have to check out Chernobyl, and that's on HBO, right?
Yes, yeah, it's an HBO one.
Yeah, good deal. All right, man. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Saw Something Scary. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, hit us up. Let us know what you think about the show. He's at Right Jeff. I'm at Derek Zoo, and we are out of time. Join us next week when we tackle the King of Monsters. But until then, here's a reminder to let you guys know to stay away from clowns in sewers, blind men with turkey basters, and white people with teacups. We'll see you guys back here next week. Bye-bye, man.